forest. It cost us, he said, about $100,000 a year to do it ourselves, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we're being asked not only to pay that $90,000 for outsourcing, but another almost $40,000 for a new chipper. Is there a reason why we could not, when there's a storm or when there's a branch over a sidewalk, which we get calls for all the time? I've called you about it. Is there a reason why we can't go out and cut that branch off and take and put it over on by Station and Potter, where we used to stack the chipping, and leave it there until the last week of the month, so the company we're paying $90,000 to can come in and chip it at that point? What would be the problem in holding off chipping some branches until that chipping company comes in that we're already paying?
I don't think I can speak to Mr. Holmes' rationale on why he stated that we would be out of the brush chipping business once we got a subcontractor to do the brush collection. Currently, our brush collection program only allows for up to a 4-inch diameter limb to be placed out in the curb, and a minimum length, I believe, of 5 feet. Traditionally, if we have storm damage, if we have parkway tree removals, we may run into a scenario where we have diameters far exceeding that in upwards of 18-inch capacity. I don't think the Public Works Department will ever truly be out of the brush chipping business. I don't think it would be wise for us to no longer have any chipping. I can provide you with some rental prices of equivalent machines or prices from Winkler's for providing us additional pickups. I would have to look at the contract, but I believe there is a portion of the contract which says they would not pick up something to the effect of branches, brush left as a result of another tree removal that someone either didn't pay for. It was just to help that homeowner that was associated to. I could contact Vince to find out his opinion on that, but again, that would probably be something I would have to run past not only the attorney's office to look at if that's included in their contract to pick up mass quantities of brush as part of their brush collection.
We are, if I may, we are still talking about Parkway. We're not talking about private property.
Correct.
So it's the same area that the outsourcing firm is supposed to do.
The Winkler's Tree Service currently picks up brush collection for private residents within Wooddale. If residents put brush to the curb, Winkler's comes and picks that up. If we were to take all of our brush that we were to prune perhaps during one portion of the year and place that all in one location, I don't know if that would be within their contract bounds to chip that as well.
Okay, I know it wasn't you, John, but I think we got sold a bill of goods on that outsourcing if we're going to have to buy one. And I would think that we should just stay the way we are and next year not outsource brush pickup by somebody else and go ahead and buy this at that point. But we're double dipping right now. We're paying twice for the same service, $90,000 to them and $40,000 to ourselves, and then plus the labor of doing it. There's a wash if you want a wash. We've got $200,000, not just $100,000.
Right.
The staff time, I think, is where we're saving. Brush collection, I never went back to look at the true brush collection amounts when I performed this bid, but there was a significant amount of time by Public Works staff in picking up that brush on regular time and other jobs that weren't getting done because of that brush pickup. The $90,000, $96,000 this year with the contract amount, whether or not that equates to that per year plus a prorated amount for the chipper, I'd have to go back and tabulate those numbers to come back. But again, I don't think that Public Works will ever be completely out of the business of chipping brush in relation to just normal pruning maintenance and storm damage.
Alderman Cadella? Thanks. Thank you, Alderman Coles. I remember Gary Holm selling the outsourcing concept as freeing up staff time to allow them to do other things that at the time the council was asking them to do. I don't have a specific memory one way or another of whether he promised us we'd be out of the chipping business altogether. But I do believe that I knew that our outsource project or program was for regular routine pickup only. This is not special storm damage. This is not even, the parkway tree trimming. The next item, you guys have a bucket in-house, and you do some tree trimming, light, small, whatever you can, below a certain height, below a certain size. Some of this is performed in-house, and your chipper is used for that work, for one thing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Below 32 feet.
Okay. Above that, then you go to a tree trimming contractor, in which case they chip their own, haul their own material away. The concept of, cutting limbs and making them small enough to haul away to another site seems that it would spend, not a bad idea for thinking out of the box, but I'm concerned it would spend additional staff hours. Plus, it's just outright poor urban forestry practice, and I think you as a certified arborist will confirm that. I mean, once you trim limbs, you shouldn't leave them sitting for a month or however long. Depending on the species, you could really promote some bad things, disease, infestations that you really don't want in town. I've been against the community wood chip pile for a long time. I think that's poor urban forestry practice. I hate the idea, but I think I'm alone on that one. But having limbs sitting somewhere, I'd hate even more. This is a budget item, correct?
Correct. It
So
is.
we're not looking for a budget amendment. This is something that we've already approved. And then the idea of reevaluating the outsourcing may be a valid one. And I think for next year, I'd like to have staff, really take a hard look at whether we've saved anything or spent more money. And I have a suspicion I know which way that's going to go. Either way, if we do eliminate the outsource program, we'd still need a chipper. It's in this year's budget. Your one you have now is going to need money to repair to keep using, which obviously staff is determined to not be worth the money to put into it. There is about, a $10,000 credit or so for turning this thing in as its condition right now. Is that what I think I understand?
Correct. The machine originally cost us in '94 $23,000 and change. They're willing to give us $10,100 currently for the machine. So
Okay.
we more than have made the use out of 15 years.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me we should make the purchase, and I have a feeling this brush collection may come back into town. Either way, we're going to need it, and it's already in this year's budget. So, thank you.
Alderman Police?
Personally, I think we should go forward with this simply because I was there when we had that microburst. And I know if we would have had to call somebody in at 10 o'clock at night with their chipper and whatnot, I'm sure we would have spent a fortune just to do that. This machine, I think, is just going to pay for itself on its own. And I agree. I mean, we did a 3-year contract on that brush pickup, but we do have an out. If we don't want them the last year of the contract because we feel it's not working out for us, we could get rid of them. I personally see that, it's the last week of the month, but sometimes I'm driving by and people got their brush out sitting there for two weeks. Sometimes they miss and it sits there the whole month. And I've had a couple of complaints. I go, well, they have to wait for it to come out, or I'll see if one of the city trucks can pick it up. And sometimes the city truck goes out and gets it anyways. I think this is a good investment. It'll pay for itself. As far as the brush pickup, that's definitely going to have to be looked at.
Roy Wesley, Alderman Roy Wesley, gets me confused.
Okay. I put some numbers together here. We had 4,000 hours on this machine. That comes out to over 14 years. That's 286 hours per year. dividing by 6 months, because that's roughly about what we're gonna do the chipping for brush pickup, comes to 48 hours per month. To pay for this machine is gonna be $2,785 per month, just to pay for this machine. How much does it cost to overhaul the one that we have already? Have you figured that out? And I'd like to know what you're gonna do if you do get this machine, and how you're gonna put it to use.
I guess I'll answer the last question first. There will be really no change in the way we utilize the machine from the way we utilize the current machine we have. Currently, right now, we go out on numerous occasions throughout the year to pick up brush that may have been put out at the wrong time during the month. We use the machine anytime there's storm damage, and we use the machine anytime we're using or doing any street tree pruning. So as far as that's concerned, I don't envision any change in the utilization of the machine. As far as costs for the machine, if we were to rent an equivalent machine, $460 a day, $1,840 a week, or $5,520 a month. So if we needed to had another incident like we did in August, and everybody's calling around for chippers at 10 o'clock at night, and Winkler's Tree Service is already bound to another municipality for doing storm damage, and MDL Tree Service, who we use, is already bound, we probably would not be in a good state of affairs if we did not have a chipper.
Okay. The tree trimming, by doing this, how many hours are we having on the machine now since last year?
I think you called me on that, and I think I said in the last 2 years we put 522. I don't have my notes in front of me, so you might have to correct me.
Okay. I don't remember.
And 255 last year. There was a decrease last year because last year was the first year of our contractual brush pickup, so there was a decreased amount of hours comparably between the 2 years.
So I take it by getting this new machine that you're planning to put more hours in it for tree trimming.
I would envision, my goal has always been, and included in this budget preparation, that we were going to attack ward by ward once every year and trim parkway trees. That is still my goal, and I still stand behind that I said during budget preparation. So come this fall, we will commence in once Jim Ostrander, myself, and George Goodhue have met and decide what ward is in the most dire need of street tree pruning. We'll start in whichever ward, and then each year pick a new ward and work to complete it through fall, through spring, when it's a slow time.
Back to the first question. Did you evaluate how much it is to overhaul the machine?
Correct, I did. The motor alone, when we looked to overhaul it, was $13,000 to overhaul the motor and the clutch.
13,000.
But that was some years ago, and we have not looked at that option. We thought with the age and the costly repair bills we've had on it over the last 2 years, we did not look at any other options for overhauling it. We solely looked at, we need to get a new machine. It's 15 years old.
How many years left do we have on Winkler Tree Service?
1 more year after this year.
So when does that come up?
It was signed as a 3-year contract expiring in November of 2010.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions? Alderman Cadella?
Yeah, Alderman Wesley got me curious, so I did some of my own math here, and if this thing lasts 15 years, we're looking at about $2,600 a year, excluding whatever maintenance we're going to be putting on this. So quite a bit less than the rental that you talked about. And if we're thinking about trying to get this thing to limp along until we can reevaluate and get out of the contract, and I don't even know that that's the direction that we're going to go. I wonder how much it would cost you to keep this thing running. You can't even know at this point, I assume. Is that motor and clutch going to make it, or will you be able to keep Band-Aiding it, or is it, for another year and a half or so? So, I mean, those would be my concerns, all the more reason I'd very pro purchasing this right now.
Alderman Lacy?
I make the motion to purchase
Oh, I don't know. I want to say something.
No?
I want to, I'm going to, I got one thing to say. I realize that you're trying to use the old unit, and if the old unit may work for a while, but if we have a bad storm and that poor unit has to overwork itself and it's never going to make it. And the worst thing you want to do is when you're in the heart of this, cutting up the trees that are down because of a storm, and your equipment goes out, you're in trouble. So I'm a strong believer in having good equipment. Good equipment is the best thing in the world. So I'll make the motion that we recommend that we buy this, she got me all excited. Brush and branch chipper from Alexander Equipment Company Incorporated for a total cost of $39,195. Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Two opposed. Pass. Okay. Public Works Committee is making a motion to adjourn. Going to talk about what?
Do we need to talk about this, Mayor? It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda.
Right.
So I don't have to say anything, yes?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're opposed? Oh, you're in favor, okay. That's yours. I got mine. Are we done? Motion carries.